Hi, we're going to talk about the intro and thesis for paper number 2. How can you draw your reader in, and how can you provide an overview of your paper? So when we talk about the introduction, our key goals are to set up your thesis, set up your argument, and draw the reader in. Those are the two things you want to think about. I'm going to show you 4 possible ways to do that, but you should go with any way you think might work. Don't be locked into what I'm sharing with you now. Just keep in mind, I want to set up my discussion of Bain, but I want to draw the reader in. How do I do it? The personal approach is one way. You can talk about your experience with the book as a way of setting up what you're going to say about Bain. So you might start with a sentence like, when I read Ken Bain's What the Best College Students Do. You bring yourself in, you use yourself as the frame. That can be nice because it reappears in the application and conclusion sections of the paper. So this is a good way to do it. But you're not limited to the personal. You could take the focus on the college experience perspective, working from the idea of college, and you're in college and you have your own thoughts about it. So you could take a personal voice, you could think of college more generally. There's lots of ways you can use the college experience as the focus of your intro that sets up your thesis. Another approach you can do is what I call like the reviewer approach, where you kind of introduce the reader to the text, maybe briefly summarize the main structure of the text or the main approaches of the text. And there's a sample of that kind of what your first sentence of that intro might look like there. The fourth way, and this is the trickiest one, is to bring in a cool quote from Bain. The trick with this is there are 2 elements you got to be careful about. One, you want to make sure that you pick a quote that you don't otherwise use in the paper, because otherwise that gets redundant and confusing. Secondly, you want to stay on track. So if you get too far off on talking about the Bain quote, you might not be effectively setting up your thesis. And that's where you have to use your authorial judgment. Is this approach going to work? The thesis statement is really a formula this time, especially the first part, where you're going to list the topics that you're going to discuss in your paper. List the ideas from Bain you're going to discuss, and when you do so, make sure you do them in the order that you actually talk about them in your paper. And then you're going to have another sentence or 2 where you preview your evaluation of those topics or your overall evaluation of Bain. You don't have to talk about each topic, as you'll see in the samples. So let's look at a couple samples. You can see in this first sample, we have some interesting options. So the first part lays out the topics that are going to be discussed: intrinsic motivation, deep learning, responding to failure, common humanity, and selecting courses. It's just a list, simple formula. Then you can use some of your subordination, works really well here, to set up an overall evaluation of what you think about Bain. And you don't have to list the topics again here because you've already said them in the previous sentence. So you can offer an overall statement. So this one you can see the writer likes Bain but isn't sure that his ideas can be implemented. Take a look at the second sample thesis statement. In this one, same thing. You get the list of topics that are going to be discussed, and you get sort of a reverse. The introductory subordinate clause suggests negativity about Bain, but the main clause suggests something positive. So you've got 2 models there, right? A model that's primarily positive about Bain, a model that's primarily negative, but both of them have qualifications, which can be interesting. It gives you ways of criticizing Bain as you work through your paper. Now, obviously, this is all going to work best if the paper's already written. So it's really important to wait till you have your complete draft aside from the intro and thesis ready. And that includes your conclusion. You really should write your conclusion before you write this intro, because your conclusion also is going to pull together your overall evaluation of the book. So now I want you to go out and try it. I've presented 4 possible strategies for an intro, but don't limit yourself to those. Anything that sets up your thesis and engages the reader is going to be great. And then your thesis, you do want to follow the formula here. Give us the ideas you're going to talk about and sum up your evaluation of Bain. Let me know if you need any help. You know how to get a hold of me. Thanks a lot. Bye.